Happy New Year, guys! Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys all had a fun New Year's and then you had a good time, you got a New Year's kiss, and that you had a safe New Year's. I'm going to be talking about on this episode just basically a reflection of the past years of modeling. A lot of you guys always ask me, like, what has been your favorite shoot? What's the hardest thing you've had to do on set? Like, what is it like shooting? So I decided to do a year in review, but also to look back on like the craziest shoots I've ever been on. I don't think that people really realize how much work goes into a photo shoot, and not speaking for me, just work from me, but from everyone on set, from stylist, the prop stylist, the photographer, hair, makeup, everything. It takes so many people to produce a really good editorial or campaign or whatever, and it's really taxing on models as well, because I don't think what people realize is we're constantly traveling, we're constantly on planes flying from one shoot to another. I mean, for an example, I used to go to Korea, to Seoul every other month for about 2 years, 3 years, and I was only ever there for one day. So it's like almost 22 hours flight there, land, you're so jet lagged, go to set, no one's speaking English, and you have a translator and you're so tired you can't even think straight. And it's really hard because you want to be your best and you want to be on best form, you want to move, you want to engage in the camera, and when you're feeling like death and you can't even like speak, it's really hard. So yeah, I think it's really interesting, and don't take this the wrong way, because this is not a video about complaining about how hard the work is. It's just informative, because I get so many questions from you guys and I want to be able to share my experiences with you. And it's really hard doing behind the scenes videos for YouTube, because a lot of the times the pictures don't come out for 6 months, and now with social media it's this whole thing where usually on set there's signs everywhere that says no social media, because I mean, if I'm posting on YouTube and my Instagram stories of what the shoot's gonna look like, then everyone already knows before it comes out. It makes it less special. So it's always hard to show you guys that, but we're gonna do a little story time, and I'm gonna tell you some of my favorite, most challenging, hardest shoots and how they came out. The first one I want to talk about is one of my first shoots ever, and it was in Iceland, which was really cool because it was my first time I had ever been there and the only time I've ever been there, and I would love to go back, but it was really, really magical. We were shooting there in 2010, so 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, and I was 17, so I had to have a chaperone, so my grandmother came with me, which was super cool because we both got to experience it together. And it was summertime for Iceland, so it was light, almost 24 hours a day, so that was pretty crazy for me. I've never been somewhere that was like that. Everyone on set was super cool. It was shot by Chris Kramer, and he's such a fun, amazing guy, and it was really crazy because it was really one of the first like real jobs I had ever done. We were shooting for Self magazine, and we were shooting 2 days. One day was on an ice glacier, and that was crazy. We took these little boats around and to pick the right one, and we were shooting on them, and it was nuts. I was like in dress and high heels and slipping and falling because of course we needed jumping shots and confetti being thrown, and yeah, it was really crazy because it was freezing. Like, everyone not only were in jackets, hats, scarves, and gloves, but everyone had these big, like, I don't know what they're called, but they're like these huge, it almost looks like a sleeping bag of these huge down, like tinfoil, like giant puffy things to keep everyone warm, yet I'm in like a mini skirt and heels jumping up and down on a block of ice, so that was pretty crazy. But we were shooting on the Blue Lagoon as well, and it was so magical, Iceland. I just remember seeing all the horses and all the people there were so nice, and it was very, like, all the restaurants we went to were all these local, like, family-owned places. It was really nice and super special that I got to share that with my grandmother. But that was, not only was I jet-lagged going there, but I was also freezing, shooting in crazy temperatures, and wearing very little clothing. So it makes it hard, but the pictures turned out amazing, and I look back at them now and I literally have like a baby face. I look so much younger, but it's really funny to look back on those pictures, and because you see, when you look at it, just a really beautiful image, but you don't realize like, oh my god, that girl's in a mini skirt in Iceland. Like, no one knows where it was shot, and just by looking at it. So it's really interesting to see how everyone came together and made a really great picture, but it was a lot of work. I mean, we had these like snow catmobiles to go up the glaciers, and we had no toilets on set, so it was really funny like squatting behind everyone like in the snow to use the bathroom, but it was a really good memory and something I'll never forget. So another memorable shoot that I love, it was a really creative day. I was shooting with Josh Oland. Karen was doing makeup, Shanju was doing hair, and we were shooting for The Last magazine, which I always love because the pages are really big. You can like fold them out and almost like hang it like a poster. And it was a super beautiful black and white image, and it was just one picture. And Sean had a really good idea to almost recreate this almost as if it's a tattoo, like Girl with a Dragon tattoo vibes, but made out of hair, which turned out to be super epic. I'm seriously to this day still obsessed with this picture. But what, as I was saying, is people probably see this image and like, whoa, that's cool, but they don't really probably know what went into that image. And what went into that image was me naked, leaning over a stool like this, while Sean put hair gel and I think maybe glue, I don't remember, and took pieces of hair extensions and would put them on my back and take the back end of the comb and wave them. But the thing that was very difficult about that was every time, you know, he waved, the other parts of the hair would move. So it was very meticulous and took quite a long time of me bent over naked. But the picture turned out super beautiful, and I still have it, and my mom has one at home as well. And it was just a really creative day, and it shocks me how people are creative like that, because I could never come up. I don't see how Sean came up with that. It was amazing, and it was a really great day and something I'll never forget. So a more recent shoot that just happened and is very memorable to me. One of the reasons being because I got the cover, which I was so excited about. I was shooting French Elle. I was shooting with my friend Sam Hindle, which was awesome. We've worked together a couple times before. And it's always fun being on set, working with people that you know, because you're more comfortable, it's more fun. It's like, it tends to be a bit more creative as well because you're more comfortable with each other, so you're not scared to like try other things, whereas you might be if you don't really know the people that well. But it was really great. We were shooting in the desert of Marrakesh in Morocco, and we were basically in the middle of nowhere, like nowhere. You don't see anything. At night it's pitch black. We were staying in this hotel, which is essentially like these little teepees for rooms. And we were shooting with camels, and we saw all sorts of donkeys and horses and spiders. But that shoot was pretty crazy. I mean, it was insanely hot, first of all, and I'm wearing all of these sweaters and all of these like big pieces, lots of layering, big jewelry, crazy heels. And Jen was styling and art directing, and she's so major. I'm obsessed with her. And like, you know, again, this is not complaining, of course. It's just, you see this beautiful image, of course, of this girl in like Chanel head to toe and like with a camel in the desert, and it looks amazing, but people probably don't think, oh my god, that was probably so hot. Like, and it is, like with hair and makeup, it's just like you're sweating profusely, and sunscreen. I mean, I always wear sunscreen when shooting in the sun, but it makes you like feel claustrophobic and like greasy and gross, but you still gotta crank out a really beautiful image and try to like make something iconic out of a very like gross, sweaty situation when you're probably like dying in the desert. But Jen, I mean, she was amazing. Like we like really, and Sam's super fast at shooting, so it was really easy to get the shots, and we were all having fun. And I mean, how could you not? Like, it's literally the most beautiful location, one of the most beautiful locations I've ever been to for work. But at the end of the first day, I went back to my room, and remember, like, I'm literally in a teepee in the desert, and I see this massive spider, and I was just laying in bed with the lights on, and I was like, I cannot go to sleep. And I attempted to like shoo it out, but the walls were flappy because it's like teepee material, it's not a wall. So when I hit it, it just scurried. And I was like, oh my god, I do not know where this spider is, and I cannot sleep. So I'm laying there with the lights on, like hoping it comes back up. And it just slowly crawled back up the wall into the corner, and I was just like, okay, Mr. Spider, I'll stay here, you stay there, like whatever. And of course I woke up the next morning and I had a bite on my lips, so that didn't really work out that well. But I mean, thankfully I wasn't allergic, nothing bad happened. But it's like, in those circumstances, it's really challenging sometimes, especially when you can't really get a good night's sleep because you have a new roommate. But yeah, and then the next night was so funny. So I had someone from the hotel come the next day, and I was like, please, like, make sure there's no spiders, I'm super scared. The next morning, I swear, I wake up and I felt something furry on my foot, and I freaked out. I screamed. I jumped out of bed. It's pitch black. I'm like searching around for the light, but I also don't want to reach too far because I don't know what's in the bed with me. But it was big and furry, and I'm like, what is big and furry in the desert? Freaking out. I find the light turns on, and it's a cat sitting, staring at me. I'm like, how did you get here? Like, how did you get here? And to those of you who don't know, I'm terrified of cats. Like, I cannot. I love dogs, I love almost every animal, but spiders and cats, lethal combination for me. I really can't. But yeah, there was a spider on my bed the second night. So it's like really funny because I see these beautiful images, and like I see my cover and I'm so proud, and then I think about the cat and the spider and sweating like crazy in these beautiful clothes. It was a lot of work, and it all came together and was so much fun, and I got the cover. Another recent shoot that happened that's very memorable. It's so crazy. There's so many stories, but I'm just thinking of the most recent ones because they're the freshest in my mind. We were shooting the campaign for Faithful the brand, which is a Bali-based brand, which I'm obsessed with. They have the cutest bathing suits and like summer outfits. But we were shooting in Croatia. I was shooting with Cameron Hammond, his wife Rachel, and the whole Faithful crew. And it was the first day, and it was, I think, a 4-day long shoot, 3-day long shoot. We had one weather day, but we were shooting, and we wanted this one shot of me diving into the water, basically off this little cliff. And I'm looking, and I'm like, I wonder if this place has sea urchins. And we're looking, we're like, no, but there were people swimming where I was supposed to be jumping in, and I was like, well, if they're swimming, there must not be sea urchins. So I dive in, and the waves like bring me back to like the rocks, to the cliffs, and I just kick the wall to like try to kick away, and I kick the wall, and I got this super sharp pain in my foot, and I was like, oh my god, I think I kicked a rock, and I was like, I really hope it's not a sea urchin. And we're all like, no, you would know if it was a sea urchin. So I'm still shooting, I'm doing this shot of me floating in the water, and I come out, and there was a ladder, and I'm stepping my feet on the ladder, and I step on one of the steps, and it was just the most excruciating pain when I put my weight on my foot. And I pull up my foot, and I had 13 sea urchin spines in my foot. My foot went completely purple, and it was so painful. It was so painful. And it was very early in the day and very early into the shoot, and we had a lot more to go. And funny enough, where we were shooting was like a pedestrian part of the town, and it had all these hills, and it was a super long walk back to where the van was with all the equipment. And so Cameron, he's so amazing, he was like, come on, jump on my back, and gave me a piggyback ride, and we're on the way back to the car, and it hurt so bad, but I knew how many shots we had left to do. And when you're shooting on location, you're really battling with nature, obviously with sea urchins, but the biggest enemy is light, because the sun goes down early in the summer. So you have super early call times, and you want to shoot as much as possible before the sun goes down, or God forbid a rainstorm or something. So I mean, I was in pain, but I also knew, like, okay, work mode, like, just crank this out, and the faster we get it done, the faster I could get to a doctor and try to get these spines out. Someone from the team went to like a CVS or whatever and got me some cream and things for my foot. Didn't really help that much, but some Tylenol, and that helped somewhat. But so we cranked out the shoot, and like literally we wrapped my foot because I didn't want it to get infected. So the whole way through the shoot, I'm like trying to hide my big foot that has this big like gauze wrapping and cotton all over it. But it was, I mean, the pictures turned out to be one of my favorite pictures I've done. And like the team was so cool, and every night after shooting, Cameron would soak my foot in a pot of vinegar, because first of all, I started off with having a doctor come to the hotel and look at it, and he pulled out one. And the thing about pulling out sea urchin spines is it's not just like one pokey thing. It has all these little pokey things on the side. So when he pulled it out, all the little pokey things on the side fell back into my foot, and it was so excruciating. So I was YouTubing and like Googling all these like home remedies for getting rid of sea urchins. And a lot of people said I actually did a poll on Instagram, now that I remember, on my Instagram stories, and I got so many people saying try soaking your foot in vinegar. So I tried it, and the thing about that is that it has to be soaked for like hours for it to actually start working. But it was really cool because I pulled my foot out, and the vinegar was clear, but when I pulled it out, it was almost gray and cloudy from all the sea urchins like disintegrating. But it took a long time, and my foot reeked of vinegar for like 4 days. We stayed in a few different hotels because we were moving locations every other day or every day. But there was, the night it happened, we were staying in a house all together, and my room just reeked of vinegar. But Cameron and Rachel, they were so cool. They took care of me, gave me piggyback rides, and like we cranked that out. We made that work. And then I'm going to show you some of the pictures of the actual footage of me jumping into the water pre and post sea urchin, but it turned out great, and it's like something I'll never forget because it really made me realize how just hard work and everyone coming together and bringing their A game, how, I mean, a model working on a hurt foot, to get the pictures we did, it was really a cool experience, and it hurt, but it made for a great story and made for great pictures. Another funny story is Fashion Week. I think Fashion Week is the craziest time in fashion for everyone involved, from styling to casting directors, from models. Like, it is nuts coming backstage at a fashion show. And I think the craziest is probably Paris, because there's so many shows and girls are going from one show to another with full hair and makeup from one show on a motorbike to the next show, and you have like 30 minutes to like be in a completely different look. You have all these hairstylists doing your hair and makeup at the same time. But it was during couture. I was doing the Alexander Vautier show, and I love him. He is a genius, and it's one of my favorite shows I've ever done. And during the fitting, we tried one look, and it was really awesome. But then he was like, what's your favorite one? And we were looking through, and I was like, that red dress is everything. And I tried it on, and I fell in love, and he loved it as well on me. And so we did the fitting, it looked great, and then the next day was the show, and I'm in hair and makeup. I was there early, I didn't have any other shows that day, so I got there on time. I had about 3 hours in hair and makeup, and I was done fairly quickly, and so I'm sitting backstage with my friends, hanging out, and everyone's lining up, getting ready to get dressed and get in lineup to start the show. And when you're getting dressed and the show starts coming, everyone just like all of a sudden starts getting like super anxious and hyped up, and it's almost time. Like, even though you're like waiting around for a few hours, when it's getting close to showtime, everyone's just like has a little bit of anxiety and like a little bit of nervousness. And I was getting dressed, and my dresser was trying to zip up my dress, and it was just like this sudden panic. There was girls already lining up. I was like one of the last ones getting dressed, and everyone's pulling and tugging, and she pulls the zipper and it rips. And I was like, oh my god, I'm getting canceled for the show. Like, there's no way. Literally, like, girls are lining up about to start going out on the runway, and it was a zipper all the way down the side. It's completely open. The zipper just came off the track. And we're all freaking out. I was like, great, I'm canceled. I was in love with this dress. I was like, Alexander's gonna be so mad at me. I was like, I had all of these emotions at once. And then all of a sudden, all of these assistants and stylists sewing me up as quickly as possible, walking. They're like, get in line, get in line. I'm in line walking. They're sewing, walking with me. I'm standing in line. And there was 3 girls left in front of me. The first one goes, I'm like, oh, it's halfway done. The second girl goes, I'm like, oh no, here it comes, I'm getting canceled. I was like, bye bye, like, this is not happening. And all of a sudden, it was like, I just see the guy take the thread, bite it, he was like, go, and pushes me. And I went out and I did this show, and I just like, inside I was just like, yes, I made it. Like, despite all, I made it. Like, I was so happy to do it, and the dress looked amazing. No one could ever tell. And I mean, that's the thing about shows, is that they're all samples. You know, it's not like the best zippers that are going to be on the final product. It's the sample. So, and all of it's like custom made to the girl, and the fitting and everything. So a lot of the times things like that happen, or a heel breaks, or like whatever. But I was just so excited to do the show, because it was the first time I was walking for him, and I really wanted to like kill it. So when that happened, I was dying, but it worked out, and a fashion miracle happened. But yeah, I mean, looking over the years of all, I mean, there are endless stories, and it's just amazing to see like everyone come together so creatively, putting in their best work and their best ideas, and like seeing the final product. And it's so interesting to look back on it, and like you get just like a rush of all these memories, and like what went into that picture. And it's just so much hard work, and it's like it's so much attention to detail, everything. But yeah, I mean, usually the best shoots have the craziest stories behind them, but I've been lucky enough to be on some great ones, and ones that I'll never forget and are super memorable. And like, even the hardest ones, even the bad ones, they make memories, make you appreciate the good ones and the easier ones. But yeah, I mean, with the new year, I like love reflecting and looking back on old pictures. That app time hop where it like shows you what you were doing on this day a year ago. Like, I love things like that, and looking back, because so much happens, and like in fashion we're always so busy, on to the next one, that like I think it's amazing to sit back and really reflect on the past, and like the past shoots, and what have made the great ones, and all the hard work. So yeah, so this New Year's, reflect. I want to hear from you guys. Comment below, tell me some crazy stories. Doesn't have to be work related. And yeah, hope you have a happy New Year's. Wishing you all the best.